Hello, I'm back again with another really helpful video. And in today's really helpful video, together we are going to build an audiobook recording template which you can use to narrate and produce audiobooks. So what we're going to do is build the template, record a little bit of audio, and we'll master it to the right levels and export it. Then afterwards, you can either download the template and a helpful PDF from my Patreon, or just make the template yourself if you want to save a bit of cash. That's what I'd probably do, if I'm honest. So if you haven't checked my previous video out on the Protools edit window, finding your way around that, have a little look at that. That will get you familiar with the interface. I'll put a link in the old description down below, and then pop yourself back here after. Anyway, should we crack on? I'm sure you're incredibly busy and I don't want to take up too much of your time. So let's set up our session. I have chosen WAV, sample rate 44.1. That's what a lot of publishers seem to use these days. And 16-bit is fine. So let's press create. Sorry, the session's labelled in capital letters. I'm not usually that aggressive, but I didn't notice my keyboard was stuck on caps lock. Anyway, let's pay a visit to our little setup IO menu here. Let's click on our bus tab. And these buses are just things that carry signals around the session, like little buses, I guess. So for this session, we're going to need a stereo VO bus. We got that, lovely, check. And also a mono mic bus so that it can carry our voice around the session to where it needs to go. If you want to create a new bus, you can just click new path there and you can select mono or stereo, whatever you want, and then label it in this little box here. Or you can double click on the name up here and just let's press create. And that's everything we need for this. So let's press OK. Then we can start making some tracks. So you can either go to the track menu, click new, or if you're feeling a bit flash, you can use the key command Shift Command N. I am on a Macintosh, by the way. But if you're on a PC, 9 times out of 10, the command key is the control key, as I understand. But just check anyway. Right, enough horsing around. Let's get our track menu up. And we're going to make a mono aux input. So this is one of those buses I was talking about. And we're going to label it mic in. Then we're going to click that little plus there and make a mono audio track. And this will be our mic record track. And we're just going to add another stereo aux input. And we're going to call this VO Master. Before I forget, let's have one more audio track as well. And we're going to call this one Room Tone. And let's just click on that and drag that just underneath the mic record track. There we go. Lovely. So let me just draw your eyeballs to this little inserts A to E section here. That's where our plugins will be going. And this little I/O section here is where our inputs and outputs live. And if you don't see these menus, just click on this little triangle here and you can just tick the boxes here and they'll come up. So we're going to set mic in's input here to our microphone, which if you click on the track input, it'll probably be the first thing in your interface menu, which is your audio interface inputs. Then we're going to set the output to mic bus, which if you click on output, it'll be in the bus menu. Then we're going to set the input of our mic record track to mic bus, and the signal's coming into our mic in, traveling down the mic bus and into our mic record track. So you can see I've pressed record enable and it's coming through nice and clear. Right, next we're going to put a couple of plugins on our inserts here on the mic in channel. So your signal is going to hit everything in these inserts before it catches its little mic bus to the record track. And first we're going to put a noise reduction plugin, and we're going to go for RX10 voice denoise here. So this is if you've got a noisy room. It'll just get rid of that nasty room hiss. Now I'm using RX10 Advanced. I think they're on RX11 now. But it is a bit spenny. And you can pick up a cheaper version, which is RX Elements. I can't really vouch whether it's as good. I'm not sure. Anyway, the default setting usually does the job. But if you are sounding a bit squelchy, just ease off on the old reduction. Oh, also, very quickly, you're going to want to go into options and check delay compensation. And that just caters for any delays any plugins might cause. Anyway, moving on, we're going to put an EQ in the second insert slot here. And we're going to use the stock EQ1 and click this little fella to put the high pass filter on. So that's just going to get rid of any low rumbly frequencies. And just grabbing that little bobble thing there, we can just drag it to 73 Hertz. So anything under that will be dust. And that'll get rid of pops and rumbles and horrible things we don't want below 73 Hertz, basically. And you can adjust it if it's too much or too little as well. So these two are going to process this signal before it gets to our record track. So whatever we've recorded has already been processed. So when you're bouncing down your chapters, you won't be processing all the denoise stuff. which will save you a load of time. Anyway, I'm going to turn this one off now because I don't actually need it. But I thought it'd be good to show you this setup just in case you did need one. And if you don't, just skip the mic in aux thing and just use the mic record track. And you can turn it off with the key command, control and command. Or right click over it and then click bypass. Right, next we want to route the output of our mic record track to our VO master bus. So click on the output, select it from the bus menu. There we go, VO bus. And then on our VO master track, we are going to set the input of this. We'll click on that, go to bus and set it to VO bus. Bosh. Right, next on our mic record track, we're going to stick a compressor in the first insert here. So let's click on that, go to our little plugin menu, and we're going to reach for a Dyne 3 compressor, which is the stock compressor. And that's in our Avid menu. There we go. That's the one. And you can see already by that gain reduction line, the GR line here, that it is doing something. So what this little fella is doing is compressing my voice when it goes over a certain threshold, which we can see is set here at minus 24 dB. Now, I'm not going to bang on and on about what a compressor does, because quite frankly, I find it boring. And there are thousands of videos on it, but I will tell you what you need to know for this. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the controls. So we've already mentioned threshold. So whatever you set this at, anything that goes above that threshold, minus 24, it'll start compressing. And you can see on the old GR meter there, it's compressing my voice by about minus 3 dB, which brings me on to the ratio button here. So this is set to 3:1 at the moment. So for example, if my voice goes 3 dB above the threshold, it's going to reduce it to 1 dB above the threshold. And that's as much maths as my brain can handle at the moment, I'm afraid. Next, we've got our attack and release buttons here. So the attack time is how long it takes for the compressor to kick in. So I normally have it set to a slower attack when I'm doing voiceover work. And that just means the compressor kind of grabs the audio a little bit later and it sounds a bit punchier. And again, same with the release. I'm going to have a slow release time on this. So let's just open that up. And again, it just sounds a little bit smoother. You can experiment with those or go and have a look at one of the million compressor videos on the internet, but not yet. Anyway, the last little knob that we need to know about is our makeup gain here, this red fella. So obviously when you compress a signal, it's going to lose a bit of level, isn't it? So this makeup gain knob basically replaces that level that's been lost. So you'll probably find you're going to be using this, maybe putting about 3 or 4 dB back onto the signal. Anyway, that's all you need to know really about compressors at this stage. I'm just going to take this threshold up a bit, maybe to minus 20 or something like that. We're just using this basically to catch any peaks so we can smooth our signal out. We can start fine-tuning everything once we start recording anyway, but these are sort of our starting block parameters, I guess. Anyway, we'll be using this to get our levels correct for our audiobook spec. Generally, audiobooks get delivered between minus 18 and minus 23 dB RMS. RMS is their measurement of choice, you see. But more about that boring stuff later. Let's just close this down for now. And we're going to turn it off by right-clicking and making it inactive. I never have it on while I'm recording, and we are just going to be using that compressor when we do our little mastering bit at the end. Oh, and you might be wondering why I haven't got this compressor on the mic in bus. Well, there's a very good reason for that. You see, if we hit a peak and it overcompresses and distorts, like we might be doing a scene with lots of shouting in it, then it's recorded the signal like that and there's no going back, you see. Whereas if we've got it on our record track, we can just deal with it later and lower the volume on the audio track. Anyway, moving on, let's go to our VO master track, click on the first insert here, and we are going to grab from the Avid menu a Pro limiter. And the reason we've got a limiter on our master bus is because if your audio goes over a certain peak, then you will go to prison. And that illegal threshold is usually around minus 3 dB. So I normally set my limiter to around minus 3.4 just to be safe. That means it will grab all those nasty little peaks and save you a fortune in lawyers. So, as I mentioned, the levels that we are aiming for are between minus 18 and minus 23 dB RMS. So how on earth do we do that? Well, if you haven't invested in any meters, first of all, naughty. Second of all, on our mix window here, on our master track, if you right-click where the meters are, you see you can select RMS there, and that gives you the measurement, but you can't really see it that easily. But don't despair, I found you a really good pair of free ones from Plugin Alliance called the Brainworks meters, and we're going to put these on our VO Master channel. and these will do the job. So you see it's got a skinny line and a stout line. Well, the stout line is our RMS level. And you can see just above it the RMS reading there. So what's with the skinny lines, I hear you asking? Well, that is the peak reading. So basically that is the loudest point my voice will get. Anyway, the stout line is the one that we're interested in really. So what we're going to do is I'm going to record a little bit of an audiobook I was working on recently. Then we'll give it a little tidy up, a little edit, and then we'll get the levels right and get it ready for export. Right, okay, I'm on punch record, so I'm just going to press record and record our dummy chapter, or paragraph, or whatever. Here we go. One summer, when I was 9 years old, a snake bit me in the thigh. I remember very little of what followed, only being mad with heat and tossing about to escape it as if my flesh were on fire, while time passed in patches. There we go, one take wonder. Right, let's give this a quick edit. We're going to trim this. I've got all these little edit tools explained in my little edit window video, but I'll put a link in the description for you. Let's just get rid of this nasty little breath here. Select that, highlight that, and delete. We can leave this one in, it's just between a sentence. Let's just trim the end there. Oh, and there's a nasty little click there. Let's get rid of that. So you'll notice now we've got little gaps of silence, and this is where our room tone comes into play. So if you've used the noise reduction plugin, it will probably get rid of all your room tone. So we're going to smooth all these little gaps over by importing a clip of room tone. So we go to File, Import Audio, or Shift Command I, or Shift Control I if you're on a PC. And we want to select our clip from the menu up there, and we want to copy this. Because if we add it, then it'll just look for that file wherever it is. So at the moment it's on my desktop. And we want to copy it to our audio files folder. So we press copy. And that means when we back our project up, it'll have all our files in it. So it'll copy it to your audio files folder in your project there. There we go. It's going to ask if we want to put it on a new track or in the clip list. So let's just sling it in the old clip list. Let's just move our meters out of the way so you can see it there. There we go. And we'll just grab our room tone and we'll just plonk it on the room tone track there. Let's just get these out of the way again. And we'll just trim the rest of that. We don't need all this stuff. So just select that and delete that. So let me just explain about why we're using this room tone just a little bit further. So when you record in your room, you'll have a bit of natural background room tone, which is like a sort of faint hiss. So when you make edits in your track, taking out breaths and noises and all that sort of gubbins, it's going to leave gaps of silence, which sound a little bit jarring. So if we lay a clip of subtle room tone over the chapter, it's going to smooth it over real nice. Now, obviously, we don't want it to sound hissy, so we need to adjust the level of it so that it, A, sounds smooth and natural, and B, that it doesn't go above ACX's noise floor requirement levels, which last time I looked were between -60 and -85 dB. Anything above that, and you are toast, my friend. So there are a couple of ways we can adjust the level. First is within the clip here. See where it says 0 dB here? If you just click and hold that, you'll get a little fader come up and you can take it up or down as you like. Or you can do it this way, where you just click on the track view menu, choose volume, and if we zoom out, we can get our little selector tool here and then just go from the start to finish of the clip, select all that. And if you hover above the volume line, you can see the cursor's turned into a little kind of bridge there. And all you've got to do is just click and drag that down or up to whatever volume you want. But anyway, let's just get rid of that now and go back to waveform view. You can press the minus key for that. That's the keyboard shortcut for track view. Right, so let's get our levels all sorted out before we export this little mini chapter. Let's get our compressor back up. Oh, by the way, if you want to look at more than one plugin at the same time, click this little red target thing here. And when you open a new plugin, this one won't just disappear into thin air. There we go. Now we can look at our meters and our compressor. Anyway, let's crack on. So first of all, I'm going to go to my volume view by pressing minus, and I'm just going to select everything in our little mini chapter, and then I'm going to take this volume up by about 3 or 4 dB. There we go. Oh, it's not letting me write the automation because I've got my record enable on. Record enable always suspends the automation, you see. Anyway, it's done it now. Let's come out of that. And let's have a butcher's and see what our levels are looking like now. So it's just tickling it there. So I'm going to take the threshold down a little bit more. Let's try it now. One summer, when I was 9 years old, a snake bit me in the thigh. I remember very little of what followed. See, it's just catching those little peaks there, so that's all right. Anything between sort of -1 and -3, I think you're good with. Again, just play around with that to your tastes. We've got fast attack and fast release. That's good. But we're still a little bit low. So I'm going to take the makeup gain up by about 4 or 5 dB. So what we're doing here is taking the gain of the whole compressed signal up. See, if we take the level up on the actual audio track, that means it's going to start compressing the audio more, and then we risk it distorting and all sorts of horrible things. Plus, we've got our compressor exactly how we want it. So by taking the makeup gain up, we're just taking up our compressed signal. So let's see where we are now. One summer, when I was 9 years old, a snake bit me in the thigh. I remember very little of what followed. Yeah, I think we're in the right ballpark, you know. So you can see on the meters, the RMS was hitting around -21, which is about right. So the way they calculate their RMS level, it's like an average. So if we're hitting around -21, I reckon we're good. I'm just going to take it up another like half dB or something, just for good measure. Right, let's see what that does, shall we? One summer, when I was 9 years old, a snake bit me in the thigh. Yeah, I think we nailed it, you know. We're going to do a level check at the end anyway, but I think that's good. So levels are all good. And the next thing we got to think about, if we're submitting this to ACX, they want 1 second at the front and 2 seconds at the back of the chapter of room tone. So how we can do that is we click on our first clip, have a look at the start time code, 00000916. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on our room tone track, and we're going to nudge it with the nudge left key, which is the pointy arrow key next to M on your keyboard. So we're going to nudge this 1 second before the very first word. So that's 00000816. So that's where we want our chapter to start, and we want it to end 2 seconds after the last word there. So we just want to click on the clip, and we're looking for the end time code there, which is 00002523 there. So we want our room tone to end on 00002723, if my maths is correct. So let's just trim that out and just keep an eye on the end time code there. And there we go, 2723, come on. There we go. And that there is what we are going to export as our chapter. So the next thing we're going to do is export this. And we're going to bounce this to disk because we want to bounce out our main output, which will include all our compressed and limited things. So just before we do anything else, I just want to route this room tone track to our VO bus. So that goes to our VO master. So that's nice and neat. Good, good, good. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our file menu and we're going to find bounce mix. And then we can label this chapter 1. And then we can choose our file type. As we're being all ACX-ish, we can choose MP3, but you can choose WAV if you want, if you're just sending it to a publisher, in which case you won't have to worry about any of this compression nonsense. They do all the hard stuff their end. And we're going to keep it on mono summed, so that's going to sum all our audio into one mono file. Most people require mono files, but you can do stereo on ACX, I believe. And the file destination will keep on bounced files so that we can find it easily. That's tucked away in our session folder. Oh, that's our MP3 encoder. We're just going to make sure that's on 320. That's the highest bit rate. And then we bounce, my friends. Right, so now we're going to go to File, Save as Template, and we get this little dialog up, and then we can just name it Audiobook Template. Usually we'd keep Include Media unchecked, but we've got a little bit of room tone in this one, and I think it's quite nice to save it with your template. So what I'm going to do is when I upload this template, it'll come with the room tone in it. So you can just fire it up and the room tone will already be in it. However, I'm going to delete all the mic record clips because as we've checked Include Media, it'll include everything we've got in this session. And we don't want those clips kicking around in our nice, shiny new template, do we? No. So when you press OK, that will save that in your Documents folder on your computer, and there's a folder called Protools, and it will be in session templates and whatever category you've put it in. And last, we're going to check that our levels are all good. So we're going to check our RMS levels and that we haven't gone above -3. Personally, I use my RX audio editor, which comes with my iZotope RX10 advanced thing. But if you want a free checker, I think Audacity does a free ACX check plugin, but I don't know anything about Audacity, I'm afraid. Anyway, I'm going to open my chapter in here. So there we go. Let's try and find it. Audiobook template, bounced files, chapter 1. And this little menu on the right contains all my waveform stats. And you get to that by scrolling down this little menu on the right down the bottom here. Where is it? There it is. Just one important thing, by the way, I wanted to say, if you are using ACX Audio Editor to monitor your waveform stats, as it were, if you go up to the Preferences menu and just click on the Miscellaneous MISC tab and make sure that Calculate RMS using AES 17 is unchecked. Otherwise, it throws it off by 3 dB, which is very dangerous. So let's have a little look at our waveform stats. So our true peak level is what we're interested in, minus 4.67. So we're not over minus 3. So that's brilliant. That's great news for us. We're not going to prison. And the other one we're interested in is our total RMS level, which we can see is minus 22.49. So we're well within the minus 18 to minus 23 bracket. Lovely. So we are good to go. And there you have it. There's your audiobook recording template. So you can download this from my Patreon, and I'll put the room tone in there for you and our little chapter 1 if you want it. Either way, I hope this has been helpful for you, and I will see you in the next video. Like and subscribe.